which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone, to our April Parks and Rec Board meeting. I will start by reading the appeal of decisions pursuant to the provisions of 2.68030 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws. Please take notice that decisions of the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation may be appealed to the Chancery Court of Davidson County for review under a common law writ of certiorari. Any appeal must be filed within 60 days after entry of a final decision by the board. Any person or other entity considering an appeal should consult with an attorney to ensure that time and procedural requirements are met. Due to this lovely weather that we're having, there is a safety announcement that we will have before the meeting starts. Microphone, please.
I can speak for you.
No, stand up, stand up.
It's for the record.
In the event we have any pending weather that we must evacuate to a safer location, and then right out here into the main lobby and down to the right, and we'll go into the offices on the right-hand side. That's the innermost area of the building. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's hope we don't have to do that. All right, moving on to consideration of minutes. Entertain a motion if we've read the minutes or if there are any changes.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? The minutes are approved. Any Metro Council referrals today?
None today.
All right. Moving on to public comment period.
None.
None. Okay, thank you. Now we'll move to old business, 032410. Staff request approval of the donated conservation greenway easement for a new segment of the Cumberland River Greenway located at 1710 54th Avenue North, parcel number listed. The proposed greenway will be designed, constructed, and maintained by the development in perpetuity and will add 3.01 acres of conserved open space to the Metro Park system at no cost to Metro. This is located in Council District 20. We had an acquisition committee meeting.
Acquisition Committee recommends approval.
There's a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? The motion opposed? The motion carries. Moving to the consent agenda, I'll entertain the entire consent agenda unless there are any changes.
No changes.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The consent agenda is approved. All right, moving to new business. This is the end of this term for our officers. So we're moving to 042402, nomination and election of park board members per section 1000.4 of the Metro Parks Policy Manual. This will take effect at the end of this month. We had two nominations last meeting we'll start with the chairperson for Susanna Scott Barnes and Michelle Steele. Susanna could not be here today, but that is, we're voting for either one of those. So I will entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion for Dr. Michelle Steele as chair.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Or do we take a vote? We haven't had this before. This is the first time we've done this.
If you're in favor, you vote yes. If you're not in favor, you vote no.
Okay, raise your hands if you voted in favor. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that takes care of that. So, I'm sorry? Yeah, I did vote. Right. I said I did vote. Oh. Did you raise your hand? Okay. So we have 4 who voted yes. So, Michelle, congrats. All right. Vice Chair, again, Susanna and Michelle, entertain a motion.
Motion to nominate Susanna Scott Barnes for vice chair.
Is there a second? All those in favor? Opposed? Susanna Scott Barnes will be our vice chair, and I'll entertain a motion. We traditionally have had the director as secretary. If someone can make a motion. Second. All those in favor? Opposed? Director Odom is our secretary. All right. Moving on to 042403, staff request approval of a permit for use of park space for the Metro City Disc Golf to maintain the public disc golf courses on the properties located, and I'm not going to read every address, located at Cane Ridge, Cedar Hill, Charlotte, let's see here, Seven Oaks, Shelby, Two Rivers. The permit is for a period of 1 year contingent upon all the permit obligations being met. Copies of the permits will be available for review at the board meeting if you'd like to see it. And they're all located in the following districts: 33, 3, 13, 6, and 15.
Staff recommends approval.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Moving on to 042404, staff request approval of a permit for use of park space for the Farmers Market Bellevue to host a farmers market to facilitate and promote access to locally sourced food and products for the community on the property located at Bellevue Park. The permit is for a period of 1 year contingent upon all permit obligations being met. Again, the copies of the permit are available for review. This is in Council District 22.
Staff recommends approval.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. 042405, staff request approval for a permit of a permit for use of park space for the Engine for Art, Democracy, and Justice at Vanderbilt University in partnership with Fisk University and the Frist Art Museum to maintain a temporary pollinator wildflower garden as a beautification improvement and art project on the property located at Hadley Lydiard Park. The permit is for a period of 1 year contingent upon all permit obligations being met. This is in Council District 21.
Staff recommends approval.
Move for approval.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. 042406, staff requests acceptance of an in-kind grant valued at approximately $160,000 from the Friends of Shelby Park and Bottoms to improve and expand the nature play area at Shelby Bottoms, including construction of a new pavilion. There's no required match or other obligation required by Metro Parks associated with this grant.
Staff recommends approval.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Hang on one second. You know, I didn't finish reading that. Just so you'll know, it says the project will be paid directly by the Friends of Shelby Park. Sorry, that was on the next page. 042407, staff requests acceptance of an in-kind grant not to exceed $5,000 from the Friends of Warner Parks to fund the purchase and installation of Metro Historical Commission historical marker on the grounds of the 1811 house in Percy Warner Parks. The 1811 house is the oldest structure in Warner Parks, and it was a contributing factor to the listing of the Warner Park Historic District in the National Registry of Historic Places in 1984. The Metro Historic Commission will work with NDOT to provide installation of the marker. There's no required match or other obligations required by the park. Metro Parks associated with this grant. The project will be paid directly by the Friends of Warner Parks located in Council District 34.
Staff recommends approval.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries. The Friends, 042408, the Friends of Fort Negley Park request approval to apply grants to be used toward implementation of the Fort Negley Master Plan interpretive exhibits for Fort Negley Park. Installations are to be coordinated with park staff. There's no required match or obligation required by Metro Parks. This is located in Council District 17.
Staff recommends approval.
And Chair, I'd like to note my recusal.
Noted.
Move for approval.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. 042409, Paula F. Casey, Chairperson of the National Votes for Women Trail Committee, request approval to install an 18 by 24 bronze plaque at the Tennessee Women Suffrage Monument Plaza in Centennial Park. The plaque is to acknowledge the efforts of the Tennessee State Representatives Joseph Hanover from Memphis, Banks Turner, Yorkville, Harry Byrne, Nyota, and Governor A.H. Roberts for their roles in passing of the 19th Amendment in 1920. The plaque will be manufactured by Hunt Memorial and installed in coordination with park staff. There's no required match or other obligation by Metro Parks. This is located in Council District 21.
Staff recommends approval, and Ms. Casey is here and would like to offer
Would you like to,
a few remarks.
please stand up.
Thank you so much for your consideration. And I want to begin by saying I'm Paula Casey, the Tennessee coordinator for the National Votes for Women Trail, which I also chair. But I'm here today to focus on Tennessee. And I want to give a shout out and express my deep gratitude to Director Odom and her wonderful staff for everything they have done to help us preserve this important Nashville and Tennessee history. So here's where we are. 2024, 2026 is right around the corner. That is the 250th anniversary of the United States. And Alma Sanford, who had the idea for this monument, and my friend John Williams, who's an attorney here in Nashville, we have all worked to preserve this history. Alma spearheaded getting that monument done. Monique and her staff were wonderful in helping display it in the best possible way. I have been about promoting Tennessee's role in the ratification of the 19th Amendment. All American women vote today thanks to Tennessee. But it would not have happened without some remarkable men who believed in democracy and the rule of law. And that's what these monuments and markers are all about. So Alma and I realized a while back that there is a space on the wall of the plaza with the bios of the suffragists. However, it doesn't tell the complete story. And I helped produce a new podcast called Her March to Democracy, Stories Along the National Votes for Women Trail. And I've done the first episode about Tennessee, and I'm going to do a second episode about Tennessee that is going to focus on the monuments and the markers. John Williams was responsible for the Banks Turner marker in West Tennessee in Yorkville. Banks Turner was a true hero. He's not acknowledged on that monument. Joe Hanover is not acknowledged on that monument. And I want y'all to know that I actually met Joe Hanover in the summer of 1983, and he died in April of 1984. This is very recent history, and we want to tell the complete story about what happened. And if we can have this 18 by 24 inch marker that Hunt Memorial will produce, and Monique has had her staff, Director Odom has had her staff working with me about the wording, because here's what this is about. When we are all gone, all of these monuments and markers will remain, and we want the complete story to be on there. We want these men who made sure that it passed, because if Tennessee had not ratified August 18, 1920, there's no telling when American women would have won the right to vote. So I really would appreciate your approval. We will get this marker, the bronze plaque put on there, and we will tell the complete story, and I'm going to promote it on the podcast. Every chance I get, I promote Tennessee, and I am promoting heritage tourism. So thank you very much for your consideration, and thank you for everything.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? There's a second. Amazing. And thank you, Ms. Casey. Really, really, all of you. It's such an important monument for this country, for this city, for this park. And to be right here beside us is just absolutely amazing. Thanks for all the work you've done. And that was just a wonderful presentation. So any other comments? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. All right. So we got through new business, and we're heading into special presentations, and we have 3 today. The first very excited about ever since about learning about this, and so glad it's happening today. And this, I want to introduce Mr. Judson Newbern, who I've known a long time and is a very good friend. Judson oversaw for many years Vanderbilt's campus for landscape, hardscape, and everything, and that's why Vanderbilt's so beautiful. And Judson, we appreciate you coming in to present Nashville's Highland Rim Forest to the board. And I'm pretty certain many people in this room do not know about the Highland Rim Forest, but you will soon. And Judson, you have the floor. 7 minutes. If we can keep it to that, would be great.
Thank you very much, and all of you for letting me join you today on the behalf of the Alliance. And 11 months ago, on May 1st, Kathleen Williams gathered roughly a dozen local environmental supporters informally around a dining room table, where she captured our imaginations by describing the woodlands that drape the hills around Nashville as being part of one of the largest continuous forests in the southern U.S. This was a new perspective for many, including me, after 35 years here, and it rallied a number of us to organize as a project under the Southern Conservation Partners, which is a 501c3 that Kathleen sits on that spans 12 southern states. In the 1990s, Kathleen was one of the early innovators who oversaw securing conservation easements under the organization that has become 10 Green now. We intentionally did not want to be another 501c3 to maintain and to have to fund. We instead wanted to pool the support from many existing organizations. So you'll see here listed over 35 groups that are very active in environmental causes here. And they quickly came to the support of the concept that we were behind, and we were doing this right before the mayoral race, so we were pushing to get that attention in front of people. Citizens became very captivated on the fact the hills were recognized as beautiful, but no one had seen them as a major forest ecosystem in jeopardy of development pressure, being so close to the capital city. Carl Dean serves as the honorary chair. Kathleen Williams and Ann Davis have been co-chairs, and Kathleen stepped back due to health concerns. The Cumberland River Compact furnishes a lot of the local support that we've needed, including administrative support, and with their close ties to water quality, wildlife habitats, and these hills, they function as a single grand forest for much of Middle Tennessee. Most of you will recognize this section, this view of the mid-state from Kentucky to Alabama. Much of the Highland Rim is not the Cumberland Plateau, but it is actually the hills on either side of Nashville, which is, of course, in a basin. Congress mandated, in order to receive certain types of federal funding, Tennessee complete a state wildlife action plan in 2015, which was done. The plan contained a conservation opportunity area known as the Western Highland Rim. So that was already a designated conservation area within the state's vocabulary of the SWAP, as they call it. And you can see the upper right portion this is Davidson County. This goes down to Lawrence County at the southern end. So it's 7 counties. If you can see the state map here at the bottom, you see that is a recognized area that has priority. And what we've tried to do is work with the Nature Conservancy. They connected us with a resource group called the Southern Conservation Adaptation Strategy, which is an organization that has data, environmental data, to help define Tennessee's Wildlife Action Plan. They, in fact, have data for the entire Southeast, including the Caribbean. So they are an objective measure of where you put your stress when you're starting to look at environmental areas. And they identified this portion of Davidson County. And what we've tried to do is to take the previous map that you saw that showed that in midsection known as the Western Highland Rim. And if you look closely, you can see this orange outline on the map. That is the portion at that upper right that I described of the Western Highland Rim Forest. Our hope is to recognize the portion of the forest within Davidson County as Nashville's Highland Rim Forest. So what we've done is worked with that same group that put together you can see these general boundaries with the straight lines. But looking closely within the county, we've now looked at the slopes, the water, the way the entire drainage system is working. So this is almost a third of Davidson County is in what you could call Nashville's Highland Rim Forest. We've only added the acreage of the top 3 priorities. In other words, the heavy purple shades are added together and form almost 90,000 acres, those top 3 categories. Comparative research, including Wikipedia, which is the authority on everything now, came up with this is the largest forest within the boundaries of any global city with a population over 500,000. We put that caveat in because Alaska has cities of 200,000 that go on for thousands of acres of woodland, but they're not anything like the urban description that we're looking at. So we believe this is the world's largest urban forest in any major city. If you look at the contenders, the global competition is Rio de Janeiro with the Christ of the Andes, that huge statue in it. The other one is in Mumbai, India. The largest one, which is in Mumbai, is still a quarter of the size. You can see the Davidson County outline on these 4 different forests. Portland, Oregon, Dallas, Texas. Dallas actually took a landfill that had been an unsavory part of the city and called it a forest and planted new trees. We have a maturing forest with 50 years on it in a lot of the areas. So what we found out is research using NASA flyovers. NASA does global assessments of forest cover. And they've confirmed that the forest with branded identities, in other words, if you put a name on a forest and do nothing else to protect it, you still get respect and the population rallies around it. There's less fragmentation than even having to do anything else, just putting a name on it. And they're coming out with the 2021 flyovers in the next 6 months. Cities that is designated urban forest typically have residential mixed land use in the general boundaries. They're not areas they're not like parks. But they also contain conservation areas, which are parks. The amenities within these formally protected areas are aggregated, and they market and promote these park areas under the name of the larger forest. So we're building a synergistic network of metro and nonprofit stakeholders, and the key to protecting the potential of this exceptional urban resource for future generations depends, we think, on the engagement of programs under your stewardship. We have a fabulous parks recreation department here with greenways, so much already going on. We're simply saying this could be a cap, an additional piece. So we're asking you to please think creatively about how you can help the city to keep this option open. We've simply put together, I think it's an advantage to have a state park in the mix because Radnor, Warner, Beeman, and Bells Bend all fall within this designated area. They total 7,500 acres, 92 miles of trail, and 42 miles of unpaved footpaths in addition. I'm just showing this because we wanted to look at how these numbers, how impressive they are. Just the 3 metro parks are over 6,000 acres, 86 miles of trail. So specifically, we would hope that any revision of Plan to Play would include Nashville's Highland Rim Forest as a named identifiable resource holding long-term value in offering recreational, conservation, and resilience, and the health benefits that we need for all of Middle Tennessee. We also encourage Parks and Recreation to collaborate. We're saying the Music City Center, but we mean the marketing for any opportunities of branding entities within Nashville's green mindset, and create a context in which these urban parks can serve as the hubs which future greenways and wildlife corridors might be expanded into. Our hope is to have Metro Parks and Recreation recognize 90,000 forested acres of the Western Highland Rim within Davidson County as Nashville's Highland Rim Forest, support policies that recognize the resources within this area worthy of consideration as part of the overall strategy. And we're not in any way asking for money. We're not asking for more land to be taken on. We're simply hoping you will use the clout and the significance that you carry to give this an attention. And we even went to the Nashville Convention Center, who used their graphics people, and they came up with this logo of showing the hills and the context. And even something like, there's more to Nashville's country than music, including the world's largest urban forest. So thank you for your time, and do I take questions?
Yeah.
And,
When I first heard this, I thought it was absolutely amazing. Who would have known we had the world's largest urban forest right here? Any questions or?
Great presentation. We're certainly talking about Nashville, and this is the Nashville Parks Board, but the urban area of Nashville is an MSA around Nashville, and there are a lot of perhaps almost urban forests around there. Talk about contiguous counties, land trust, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely. And that is one of the things that we've been in major meetings already with Land Trust, Trust for Public Land, 10 Green. There's a Swan Conservation Trust that operates south of here. And we're looking with what they're doing in other locations. There is more pressure within Davidson counties just from development. So we've worked with the Metro Planning Department and Lucy Kemp on several rounds with this. So it's some of the concern about the fragmentation that it really started discussions in Westmead, because that's where a lot of the focus was. But there is a studio called the Environmental Studio within Nashville's Planning Department. They encouraged to look at Whites Creek in Joelton as an area they'd like to focus on. So we're doing this in concert with where Davidson County has expressed interest. The other counties we certainly recognize as facing their own growth development, but given Nashville's focus on resilience, on the healthy lifestyle, and the number of plans that have been developed here, but they haven't really held the conservation areas as assertively as they might have. I mean, Nashville Next planned, there are a lot of the plans that have outlined wanting to do it. The outline we're showing of this rim is the Transect 2, T2 in so many of the plans that have been developed within Davidson County. So this is also working with the mass transit and the affordable housing pieces, because they have to be part of the package. We're just asking that this be seen as an opportunity within the county's planning mindset, not after the fact. We're working with the ULI, the Urban Land Institute. We'll be talking with them. So thanks for that question. But did that help? Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions? Just to be clear, the NCVC, National Convention Visitors Corp, is who helped you with this logo, which I think they did a great job. It's fantastic.
Yep.
And they were very excited about this. Just
Well, they like
promote.
the idea of branding in a way that it's not just, they quote, the honky tonk.
Right.
That you can, your whole family will come and you'll see that. And they felt like the parks really could gain more if they could put it under an attractive, something more unique, because a lot of cities have parks. But so she loved the idea, Dina, of getting this whole green piece in addition to the honky tonks.
Right.
Bring the family and walk the trails while you're here.
But Judson, thank you for that presentation. Amazing, and all the work you and your group have done. And I know it's just really the beginning, so I just thought it'd be we both talked about this, that the park
you.
board needs to hear about this and this, get behind it. So thank you so much. All right, our next special presentation today is from our department and its Natural Resources, Outdoor Recreation, and Events Division to present the annual update to the board. Jim?
Hello, everybody, and thank you, Judson. You're going to think I planned this, but my remarks mirror somewhat what Judson was saying, but I did not know that was going to happen. Thanks for the opportunity to give an update on our division. In the interest of time and my potential for rambling, I'm going to try and follow this script, but I'll answer any questions you may have at the end. The areas of responsibility in our division are natural resources, which includes nature centers, outdoor recreation, and special events. The photos on the screen that you will see are all natural areas from all across our park system. They're not in any particular order. Well, as I was thinking about this division report, I remembered a park study that I'd seen that was done in June of 1957 for the mayor, the city council, and the planning commission. The report poses the question, what can be done to make the future of the region outside our great city promising rather than alarming? One thing that the report goes on to say is the larger the urbanized area and the denser the population, the more important it becomes to provide public open spaces with refreshing green trees and grass and places to indulge in recreational activities in nature. These same considerations are true today as the city continues to expand. Research shows that spending time in a natural outdoor environment can be associated with lower levels of stress, depression, anxiety, high blood pressure, diabetes, asthma, stroke, and heart disease. And at the same time, it improves mood, self-esteem, working memory, and overall feelings of well-being. This is according to an NRPA report by Dr. Suzanne Steinbaum, of the Director of Women's Health and Wellness at Mount Sinai Hospital. I mention this to highlight how important knowing, learning, and experiencing nature is for all of us, as well as the value and the stewardship of parklands in our environment. The most visible component of the natural resources areas is our nature centers. These centers are located in or next to natural areas and are the gateways to these parks. So I've asked, the most important thing I do here today, I've asked the division managers to be here, and I'd like to take a second and recognize them for the work that they do. Denise Wire is the superintendent. You don't have to stand up. You can just raise your hand. You don't have to stand up. Denise Wire is the superintendent of natural resources. She leads our nature centers and natural areas and was one of the key advocates involved with Nashville becoming an urban bird treaty signatory. Then I've got Tracy Harris, who stepped up from the Fort Negley staff to become the museum manager at Fort Negley. John Michael Cassidy, who stepped up from the Shelby Bottoms staff to be the Shelby Bottoms manager, and he's a great outdoorsman, but he's also a new dad, very importantly. Heather Gallagher, who stepped up from the Warner staff to become the manager at Beeman Park and managing its growing popularity. Lynn Ann Welch is not with us today. She could not make it, but she is our Parks Lands Defender in the West. She's an expert on many things in the natural world, well respected to the parks across the state, and she manages the Bells Bend Center. And then Vera Roberts is the manager at Warner Parks, which is probably our most visited and most complicated park, which includes Edwin, Percy, Birch Reserve, and the Hill Forest. Vera, with the help of many of her friends, including the Friends of Warner Park, just put in a gate at a cave, bat cave. You'll see a picture of it in a minute, but Vera just got through doing that, and we're pretty proud of that. It was a good partnership amongst a lot of different folks to put it on, but I know Vera was a key component of making that happen. Thank you. So we're lucky to have a staff of highly educated, award-winning, passionate, and articulate professionals that work every day to help people of all ages learn more about and appreciate the importance of the natural world. And this is a group that is committed to offering diverse, equitable, and free programming to everyone. The Nature Center staffs are involved in a great number of things in our parks. They focus on environmental education and connecting people to nature through a wide variety and range of programs. But they also act as a hub for and are often the first stop for park visitors. The staffs help guide the public with information about the parks. They work with our park maintenance crews in their parks to manage green space. They help and give direction to hikers. They work with schools on field trips. Each center has a variety of partnerships with educational institutions and community partners. And this includes working with and assisting various research projects like environmental science field labs. They host large free community events and engage the public with their local natural environment. Much like our community centers, the staff of these facilities are leaders in their community and often the main point of contact the public has with Metro Parks, but also the Metro government. As you can tell, we've got a lot going on, but I'll point out one or two specific things for each park. Warner. They've been working with the community centers for a few years now on the Urban Naturalist Program, which is funded by the Friends of Warner Park. It's where we bring the environmental education program to the kids. And in the summer, we've got our Pen Pal program where we take the kids to the woods. They're very popular and great programs that we experience. Bell's Bend. It's a favorite among birders. You can see rare and threatened species there. It's also a place of archaeological significance and programming, and a place that respects the agrarian tradition of the Bend that goes back to the woodland period to the current Bells Bend organic farmers. I'm quoting Lynn Ann Welch on that last line. It's also a center for outdoor recreation activities that include mountain biking, climbing, a climbing wall and a silo, boulders, archery, and there is an outdoor exposition coming up on Saturday, April 13th. Beeman is a beautiful natural area that's 20 minutes from downtown, featuring the 13-mile Laurel Woods Trail. And while we do have a lot of great decks at our nature centers, I have to admit that the Beeman deck may well be my favorite deck. If you hadn't seen it, you need to go see it. Shelby Park, it's an important entry point to Shelby Bottoms and showcase of sustainable meadow and open space management. They offer programs and work from Cornelia Ford Air Park all the way to the Stones River Trailhead, and it's an urban hub for the East Nashville community. And then Fort Negley, which is the largest stone fortification built during the Civil War and is now a UNESCO designated site of memory. Fort Negley Visitor Center and Park, while not a nature center, is an important historical resource for our city and the country. We're in the beginning stages of implementing a new master plan that will transform this important historic resource to a welcoming outdoor museum. I won't go into details now, but I'm happy to answer questions and encourage you to stop by the center and talk to Tracy, and he'll give you an update on what's happening. We also work with the Friends of Fort Nashboro, and we'll be involved more with that facility as the downtown plans develop. Now, natural resource management, mirroring some of the things that Judson had to say. An important component of this division is working with parks maintenance on natural resource management areas and practices in the parks. Our goal is to lessen our long-term impact and to advocate for new and practical ways to manage our parks in a sustainable way, and improving how we care for our natural spaces with best practices, but importantly, to save money and manpower for our overworked maintenance crews. Our managers and staff work hard hand in hand with the maintenance crews in our parks, and we're always ready to help with public education and questions from the public on what we're doing. The photos you see on the screen are a variety of shots from the natural areas that show what a successful natural area can look like with a minimum of maintenance that creates space that is a great habitat for a large number of species, both plant and wildlife. We also work with Joe and AC and the planning crew. I lost my place. And are editing a new version of our natural resource management plan for the updated parks master plan. I saw Joe smiling at me. It just threw me for a loop. I'm going to get mentioned. All right. One thing to keep in mind about natural areas is that they're big, wide open spaces. Sometimes when people look at them, they come up with lots of great ideas for these empty spaces. So with the master plan work, what we hope to do is to define and map these areas and their value to make sure that we keep them open for future generations. Outdoor recreation. Our outdoor recreation area is led by John Dodson. He's a longtime Parks employee who's retiring this spring. We wish John well and thank him for the years of service to the Parks Department. The outdoor recreation program is focused on nature-based active outdoor activities. This includes kayaking, canoeing, climbing, mountain biking, hiking, camping. We focus on introductory programs to engage and expose people to these activities, and we lead guided programs for the public as well as working with our community centers. We also permit the kayak outfitters on the Cumberland River downtown. It's important to say that our outdoor recreation programs are not just about the activity, but are another way to get people outside in nature, and we include an environmental education component in most of the programs. It's another opportunity to reach people and help them enjoy the outdoors. Special events is a whole other section of you can't really see it, sorry. Our division handles all the special events permitting in parks. Lisa King and Cammie Claybrook manage these events for us, and we issue about 900 permits a year with estimated event attendance of around 1 million people in various parks. These events range from larger city events like the NFL Draft or CMA Music Fest or Steeplechase to family picnics, concerts, charity 5Ks, weddings, and this time of year, a lot of Easter egg hunts. We work with organizers to determine what parks and park space work for what they want to do. We guide them through the process of holding a successful event in a park. We monitor the events and communicate to the various people and groups that are impacted by the event inside the Parks Department with other Metro departments and also any other groups, stakeholders that are impacted. And we also work closely with the Centennial Conservancy, Greenways, the Friends of Mill Ridge, other friends groups with all of these events. We also permit and work with all of the community gardens, farmers markets, pollinator gardens, nature camps, and various other random use requests that are not specifically public events. And we handle all the film and photo permits in the parks. With that, I'm about out of time. I'm happy to answer any questions. I do want to note that none of us in these various divisions do it alone. We all work together on a daily basis, and most things we do touch multiple divisions. I wanted to mention the Parks Police too, because I was not thinking about them, and I was looked at and I said, you know, we work with the Parks Police every day on all kinds of things. So the Parks Police are also to be commended and included. I'm also particularly grateful for the Friends groups who we work with closely. And oftentimes they come through with support and funding that we would not otherwise have. And I want to invite the board to go to the nature centers and to Fort Nigley, go visit and stop in and say hi and talk to each one of these managers, and they will talk to you about what they're doing in their parks. And specifically, I wanted to invite you to the Outdoor Recreation Exposition at Bell's Bend on April 13th, Saturday. And just to pick out a couple of other places, Lytle Bend in Ravenwood is a trip that y'all might want to think about as a field trip. And also the Hill Forest in Warner. If you've not been to either of those areas, they would be great places for y'all to go. So all you got to do is let us know, and we're happy to take you. And thank you for your time. But I'll answer any questions.
Great job. Really good presentation. Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much. That was really well done. All right, our last special presentation for the day is Centennial Park Conservancy. Annual update to the board. Welcome, John.
Thank you, George. Have my timer. All right. You should all have a copy. I think you received a copy of this presentation in advance. I'm going to cover the high points. It is 27 pages. First of all, I wanted to thank the entire park board, Monique, and the entire Metro Parks team for an outstanding public-private partnership. Obviously, we couldn't do what we do without the partnership and supporting the Parks Department. We are in our 39th year supporting the Parthenon and our 19th year supporting the park. So a few big anniversaries coming up. Okay, hold on.
There you go.
There it goes? Okay, it's a little delayed. As you know, our mission is to sustain the vibrancy of Centennial Park. We work with Metro Parks to revitalize the park, to help maintain the park, and to help activate the park through community programming. Total program attendees over 2023 is over 500,000 people. And we've recently been expanding our marketing and communications. We've hired Hall Strategies as a PR firm for the first time, and we've calculated our marketing and press has been 35 million impressions last year, which is obviously a very large number. A lot of what we do goes into the revitalization. We've raised about $15 million in the past 8 years for the revitalization, and that includes the funds that are being donated this year for the upcoming Park Plaza revitalization. It also includes restricted funds, a beautification fund, a Parthenon preservation fund. We recently established a future fund, and obviously primarily the Centennial Park revitalization. The upcoming projects of which you know, which should break ground this fall, are the revitalization of the north side of the park, which includes probably most importantly connections from the 31st Avenue connector into the park, both the pedestrian access and vehicular access, and also the brand new events pavilion and the upcoming revitalization of the Centennial Croquet Club into a cafe, and Centennial Park Conservancy is contributing about $4.5 million of private funds to this project. We're especially excited about the cafe being able to offer concessions to park users, but also to be able to raise funds to help support the park. Our programming focuses in four main areas. There is what we do in the Parthenon, what we fund in the Parthenon. Obviously, that is all managed by our partners in Metro Parks. Our Musicians Corner program, our Kidsville program, and Nashville Earth Day. We have funded last year about $307,000 for exhibitions, educational programming, and revitalization projects in the Parthenon. We also had 50,000 people take audio tours that were available in 3 languages and funded by Centennial Park Conservancy. It's a great example of a program that's been done in partnership with the Parthenon team. We also funded the first ever restoration of the Parthenon marbles that are about 90 years old, and those were restored last year for the first time. This year, we are going to install an Art Century art security system that our organization is funding to help protect the art in the Parthenon, and that's about $180,000 investment. Our Musicians Corner program had its 14th year last year. This year, we're celebrating 15 years of free music in the park. We showcased 115 artists over 18 events to 97,000 people, and had an artist performance fund of $135,000, which this year will go to $150,000. It's the largest we've paid artists since we've started. In terms of our focus on diversity on the Musicians Corner stage, 35% of the performers are artists of color, 57% of them are female artists. Our events will take place in May, June, and September this year. Also, we're starting early in August because Labor Day is early this year, so we invite you to come out to celebrate 15 years of Musicians Corner. Our Kidsville program operates about 100 events in the park, in the Parthenon, in 5 community centers, and at other events in the park like Celebrate Nashville. We are currently, for the past few years, have been doing programming in Coleman, Luby, Hadley, East, and Sevier Park Community Center to help Metro Parks with after-school programming we're doing the arts, architecture, culinary arts, and music and clay this year. We're introducing our Kidsville, we introduced last year, reintroduced our Kidsville Family Festival. We had 5,000 people turn out. I think it's the only free kids festival in Nashville of its size, an entire day devoted to children and families in Centennial Park. This year we're expanding it with the Kidsville Family Fun Walk in April, which is going to be a loop tour around Centennial Park promoting fitness and the arts. Earth Day, save the date, April 20th is Earth Day this year. And last year we had about 10,000 people at Earth Day, and we provided $50,000 in grants to support environmental projects in public spaces across Nashville. We also gave away 500 trees at the Earth Day event. In terms of the projects, this is an overview of the projects that have been funded for the last few years since 2020. But last year, I know this is a really long list, but this is where we gave Nashville Earth Day proceeds all across Nashville to schools, to parks, to conservation centers, Cumberland River Compact, the Native American Indian Association, a wide variety of bees, trees, water, and educational programs supporting our entire city. In terms of what we've done since 2004, an example, planting 270 trees in parks across Nashville, and including planting 6 pollinator gardens and cleaning up 13 waterways. We have started a more formal volunteer program this year. We've always had volunteers with the Parthenon's docent program and with our programming. We've started some green sweeps. This has been a great way to engage the community that wants to volunteer in the park. So last year, we had 250 volunteers helping out cleaning up the park. And we started in 2021 paying interns, honoring Wesley Payne from the Parthenon with the Wesley Payne Internship Fund. And last year we expanded it to the entire organization. So as of 2023, every intern with our organization is paid, and we are obviously continuing that going forward. And we established the Wesley Payne Internship Fund in order to pay all of our interns. Lastly, and likely most importantly, is our focus on equity and inclusivity. We have an equitable engagement committee. We recently looked at our cafe, and we looked at the development of the cafe through an equity lens. We looked at providers and all the areas where we can consider equity in having a cafe in a public space. I want to specifically thank Jackie Jones, who's the Metro Parks representative on that team, and also to all the other folks in the Parks Department that we work with on a variety of projects. In terms of the equity and inclusivity, our main focus has been free access to arts and educational programs for everyone. We like to say there's a lot of worthy arts organizations in Nashville and a lot of worthy family-friendly organizations, but there's typically an admission barrier, which means not everyone can participate. So whether it's Musicians Corner, Kidsville, Earth Day, or Saturday mornings at the Parthenon, everyone gets to participate for free. We've talked about representation on our stages, our workforce development, and the support that we give the community, both through the community centers and also through the proceeds from Nashville Earth Day, helping to share the wealth that takes place in Centennial Park from a lot of private funding and making sure that parks across the system are able to benefit from the money that's being raised here. In terms of financials, last year we raised about $2.9 million in operating support, about $450,000 in capital. This is a breakdown of where we raised the money, a very wide revenue stream from grants, sponsorship, programming, events, private events, merchandise, etc. The Parthenon's most helpful in helping us raise these funds, and all of these funds go back into supporting the organization and the park. Thank you again to the entire Parks Board, to Monique, to all of Monique's directs, and everyone that works in the various departments of the Parthenon and within Metro Parks. We obviously couldn't do any of this work without the support of the donors helping to fund it and our Parks partners helping to plan and implement it. That's all I have.
That's all. That was great, John. Amazing what's going on in Centennial Park. You might have been in here. How many people do y'all estimate truly go through the park every year? Like how many bodies?
Yeah, I think that number hasn't been updated in many years. From my understanding, the number that is always used was 3 million, which I think the CBC estimated several years ago. It's probably a really good project to try to figure out how to estimate it. From our side, we haven't ever fully estimated that number.
Yeah, it's got to be a lot. Great programs. Any questions or comments? Thanks so much.
Thank you.
That was great. 3 really good presentations today. Thank everybody for that. Now we'll move on to capital projects update. Joe?
Good afternoon, everyone. First in Gay, excited to say that the 100% construction documents are in review right now by our team. We should be to bid hopefully in the next 30 days. Bordeaux Garden, the playground and shelter, the construction's at 55%. Was out there just last week, and the playground has all been installed. Playground equipment has all been installed, and now we're working on the surfacing and the ADA compliance. So, Cedar Hill Park, the Miracle League Field, we are looking to have that to the board in May. Presentation to the board in May for approval of the in-kind grant that we are going to apply for. I will also have renderings and a concept plan for everybody to look at then. Madison Station, currently we have the 30% design set in review, and we're also planning another community outreach event hopefully in May. Mariposa, 60% has been approved. 60% design has been approved by my staff, and we are working to 85% by the end of May. Old Hickory, I'm meeting with procurement and the contractor this afternoon at 2 p.m. to hopefully finalize that. Looking to have them on site sometime early next week to start demo. Shelby Navy Building, we have begun working with the Friends of Shelby Park to coordinate the design for the inside and outside restoration of that building. And then Trinity Hills, while we're working with the Habitat with Humanity out there, we are working on the survey for that land. So, any questions? All right.
Thank you so much. Next, Cindy, to present Greenways and Open Space Update.
Hello. Today I'm going to highlight our newest kind of superstar, which is Whites Creek Greenway. We've started design on the connection from Hartman Park to Buena Vista Pike. And as I've told you before, that's on flood buyout property. We have a real opportunity here to continue to partner with other departments. That property was bought through the FEMA volunteer flood buyout through Metro Water Services, and we've partnered with them on many greenways using that same formula. And we walked that site last week. It's beautiful. It has, the homes were removed, and we were left with really beautiful open space, access to the creek, and some amazing canopy trees that will all be conserved as part of this project. We're hoping to have our first public engagement meeting in May. We'll have that at the community center. We'll let you know when that date's formalized, but we on site last week saw many greenway users, and it was a beautiful day, and it's always good to see that. So we're adding this would add an extra mile to that project, so you would go from Mullins Park all the way to Buena Vista Pike. But in addition to that, we have two private developments happening along Whites Creek. And one of those, you have seen the easement agreements. That's Production Row, which will give us easements along both Whites Creek and Ewing Creek. And then a new project that we visited about a week ago and walked the site is called Crescent. And this is a project that will have some farmland associated with, a lot of conservation area. And through that project, through their rezoning requirements, we will acquire an easement agreement and a segment of greenway. They'll construct it and maintain it and design that through, a partnership with us. So really happy to highlight Whites Creek. It's kind of the up and coming, I guess, because of these recent opportunities. In addition to that, of course, we're still working through the Harpeth River Greenway at Ariza, working with those developers to approve their final site plan. Also partnering with NDOT on that project, both through their vehicular access that will be created to the adjacent property that was donated to us by the Frist Foundation. We're also teaming with NDOT to do some engineering reviews of some of the greenway portion as it will pass over, or rather under the CSX Railroad there. Richland Creek Greenway at Bellmead Plaza, that group is going into for a stormwater variance next month. And with that, they are doing some amazing improvements to Richland Creek associated with that project, in addition to building the greenway there. You will see, I anticipate at the next meeting, a request to amend an easement and relocate or realign a greenway connector off the Cumberland River. It's Second and Van Buren is the location. So there's a private development coming in and kind of straddling that greenway. Right now there's parking lots and some industrial, some water services area there. So there's not a whole lot happening. This will activate that greenway a little bit more than it's already pretty activated. But anyway, it does require to build what they want to build, an amendment to that greenway easement. So that's going first to the Greenways and Open Space Commission tomorrow. There's quite a few conditions. We'll present those to you all that we have that need to be completed in order to amend that easement. So amending an easement is not something that we just do very often, and we don't take it lightly. So we really do want to see an improvement to the greenway or to the easement that we might have. So we'll present that to you all, and we'll go to acquisition committee, of course, over the next couple of months. And last but not least, this week we filled one of the last two remaining staff positions, the technical specialist one, and we will have Jasmine House joining us in a couple of weeks. and very happy to have her. So we're beginning our in-house strategic planning that will help complement the plan to play update that we're doing, and happy to have Jasmine join us as well. Happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
A lot going on in Greenways. Now, Jackie Jones, upcoming special activities and events.
Good afternoon. So I think we got more than we bargained for with these April showers. The Office of OEM just text or sent an email rather. Metro is currently under a tornado watch through 3 p.m. So I thought I'd just let you guys know that. Anyway, Greenways for Nashville is hosting its annual Richland Creek Run this Saturday on April 6th. They are inviting you to join them. It's an annual event. Activities will include a kids dinky dash fun run, a 1 mile walk run, or a certified 5 mile time run that loops around the Greenway. And you still have time to register for that event. John has already told you about Nashville Earth Day. Again, it's scheduled from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. in Centennial Park on April 20th. One of the most unique events, I think personally, that we have in Metro Parks is an event called Songs Through Signs. It's a theatrical performance presented by our disabilities program. It's scheduled for 6 p.m. Sunday, April 28th at the Father Ryan Auditorium. This year's much anticipated performance is called Under the Sea. It's a fun musical about an octopus on a journey to find true love and the valuable lessons he learns along the way at the Under the Sea Ball. So that's one you might want to save the date for. That's 6 p.m. on Sunday, and additional details are on our website. The Nashville Cherry Blossom Festival is scheduled as a day-long event at Public Square Park. The actual event starts at 9:30 and features a full day of Japanese music, dance, martial arts, food, and sumo wrestling. Best of all, admission is free.
Thank you so much. All right, report of the director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In light of the weather, I will be super quick. I know you all acknowledge we are in now Parks and Recreation season. We're in our busiest time of the year where all of our outdoor activities will increase, and we'll have a lot of indoor activities as well. And so our from the operations side, the mowing, repair and maintenance, grounds and building maintenance increases. All of the special events and farmers markets that Jim Hester mentioned earlier, our summer enrichment programming at nature centers, all of that increases at one time. So we have started our seasonal hiring for all of our areas that do that, golf courses, community centers, nature centers, et cetera, sportsplex, et cetera. So we are, again, at our busiest time of the season. And as I mentioned that, all of our sports fields, multi-purpose fields and ball fields are very busy. And I just wanted to offer an update on a particular multi-purpose field that we've talked about quite a bit. As you may recall, the Ted Roach Fields in Metro Center, we got capital funding last year, about $1.5 million for improvements to fields A, B, and C. And Phil Luckett and his team have started to move that through the permitting process that is required. And they are so conscientious about the sports teams that play there. They did not want that field to be disrupted and wanted the Bordeaux Eagles to be able to have a place to play. And so while we are working through this permitting process, I did want to let you know that that was still underway. And then just to acknowledge that that particular field is very heavily and highly used by both MNPS sports teams and private sports teams, nonprofit sports teams for cricket, rugby, soccer, football, and ultimate frisbee among the few sports. So I just wanted to give you an update on that. I also wanted to give a shout out to the team over at Lead Academy at Cameron. This past week, I was able to participate in their career days, career exploration days, and spoke to some sophomores at Cameron, which was really great. I also had opportunity to meet with first and second graders to talk about parks at Nia Montessori School. So that has been exciting and different in my week. I will finish my comments, but I did not want to end without recognizing Mr. George Anderson. Today's George's final board meeting as a Parks Board member. He has served on this board for 15 years. He was appointed in 2009 by Mayor Carl Dean. And has served again under 4 mayors. He has joined us in celebrating our wins as a department and has helped guide us, the board and the department, through some challenging times. And again, while George's term of service on the board ends at the end of this month, he's committed to working on a special project for the department, so he will certainly be around. And if you all will, please join me in acknowledging George and his service. Want to say anything?
Thank you, Monique. So it has been an absolute honor and privilege to be on this board, and 15 years is a long time, and love Monique, and we're great friends, and working with her and Tommy before, and all the board members here and previous. So it's been a good run. It's an amazing department. I think this meeting today really spoke to that, of all the amazing things that Parks does and areas of this city that it touches and how important it is at so many levels. So thank y'all for allowing me to serve. I thank all the 4 mayors for working with me on that. And Monique, you're special for me and a great friend, so thank you. So, anything for the next agenda meetings? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.